Hey drummers, hope you're well. Just a quick one. Shout out to Keith who was working on this today. This is the idea of getting a bit funky when you're playing your 16th note grooves on your hi-hat. When we start playing the drums, typically we learn about different types of beat that drummers play, right? We talk about a straight eights feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... As in straight eighth notes on the hi-hat. Even a quarter note feel. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter notes on the hi-hat. Triplet feel, 12/8 feel. 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And sooner or later we get to a 16th note feel. Sometimes we play that with one stick. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... And sometimes, especially when it gets a bit faster, we play it with two sticks, typically if we're right-handed, bringing our right stick across to hit the snare drum for 2 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... Important point is that all these grooves have something huge in common, which is in their basic form. They all go 1, 2, 3, 4. The kick is on the 1 and the 3. The snare is on the 2 and the 4. And the name of the groove typically is what's happening on the hi-hat or the ride cymbal. So again, a quarter note feel is quarter notes on the hi-hat. 2, 3, 4. An eighth note feel is eighth notes on the hi-hat. A triplet feel is triplets on the hi-hat, sometimes called a 12/8 feel. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And a 16th note feel, you guessed it, is 16th notes on the hi-hat. And often they're given different names or musicians refer to them as different things. But I think that's a great way of labeling them because they all describe, what's happening again on the sort of ride surface, therefore the overall flow of the groove. But the kick and the snare, again, to repeat in the basic version, are typically 1, 2, 3, 4. To be honest, the big snare drum hit on 2 and 4, the backbeat is sort of one of the most defining characteristics of contemporary music, I would say. So here we're talking about playing a 16th note feel with two sticks on the hi-hat. And remember, when you learn these grooves, that's not, when you learn like the basic form of a groove, that is not the end. That is like the end of the beginning. If anything, we then do often bass drum variations, snare drum variations. We learn to improvise. And a really huge thing, I think, especially with the 16th note feel, is the inflections that a drummer plays on the hi-hat. This goes back to one of the age-old things in drumming and in music, or in fact, most performing arts, or indeed anything in life, I would say. Once you know the thing, it's not just knowing the thing, it's how you deliver the thing. Like the musicians, I always think, ask themselves two questions. Firstly, what am I playing? And you've got to answer that question. But then the really interesting question comes around, the second question, how am I playing it? How is it coming across? That's the business we're in. This is an emotional business. It's not just, I can play this beat. Did a video the other day about sort of maybe an amateur mindset versus a pro mindset. An amateur mindset is like, oh, I know this beat, I can play this beat. How many times have we heard an amateur say, oh, this song's a bit boring for drums because it's a straight eighths feel, or even if it's a 16th note feel. Somebody says, oh, this song's, it's a bit boring for the drummer. Often people are sitting around at gigs, or like a jam night or something. I can imagine someone who's not a musician, they often would think that, oh, the drummer's a bit bored playing this one, Or here. But no, because that, I think personally, for the great musician, that's where the fun starts, because our job is to put some emotion into this thing, to deliver a performance. A great musician is never bored, because there's always the challenge to wrestle with of making that thing feel great. And this is just the idea of 16th note feel and just changing it up a little bit. So rather than... And don't get me wrong, you might want to have that very even volume that you could play. So accenting a little bit more on the and, you could get a bit more busy with your accents. And then there's the issue, is that the 16th notes, are they straight or are they swung? So that was dead straight. If I swing them. the point of this video is putting that out there. When you learn a feel, don't say, oh, I can do this now. Oh, it's a bit boring playing this. Like, then the fun starts. What inflections am I going to put in? I'll put a couple of those. In fact, what I'll do is on the channel members page, as usual, I'll put 3 different examples to get you started of different inflections you can play on your 16th note feel on the hi-hat. I think I'll do like the classic accenting on the and. We'll do a busier accenting pattern. Play with a straight 16th note feel and then with a swung 16th note feel. So I'll put a few examples for you channel members over in practice along format on the channel members page now. And I think they're just places to start. Even those are just examples, aren't they? Often drummers say, well, I don't like to follow examples. I just like to sort of do my own thing and go where it takes me. And yeah, that's totally cool. Of course, that's a good idea. But for me, I certainly found, in fact find, I'm very much still learning, but I certainly find with most things, being exposed to a few examples can be a great place to start because it just gets the blood flowing a little bit, gets the old creative juices flowing a little bit. It's all very well a drummer saying, oh, I'll just do my own thing, or your drum teacher saying to you, well, now you can just do some of your own variations. But it depends where you're at, doesn't it? Like, if you're in a position to do that, if you feel confident with your creativity, you're feeling loose, you're feeling free, you're feeling like able to do that, great. But sometimes you need some stimulus, right? So I'll put a few examples for channel members on the page there. You can groove along with them, get them going. And then, of course, as with everything, the things I present here only have a starting point. Hopefully, again, a good stimulus to do your own thing with it. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Keith. Get funky on those 16th note hi-hats. And remember, there is no such thing of like, oh, I've learned this groove, I can do this now. Or like, oh, it's a bit boring, this, isn't it? No, man, make it sound good. Sometimes you do want it to be even, just to be clear. Sometimes you don't want inflections, but a lot of the time, you just bring it to life. After all, we're musicians, right? These days, you can program a groove in. You can get your Logic, AI drummer to just play something. This is where we come in, though, because we can offer something human, something groovy, something creative, something that feels a certain way. Let's keep our job alive, man, as drummers. That's what we're doing here as musicians. Make it feel human. Give it a groove. Take it somewhere. Shout out to Keith. See you soon.